This video is continuation of while loop that got posted previously. In this video, we will see the additional challenges one might face while using while loop. One such thing is called infinite loop, which programmer will encounter when they use the while loop directly. So let's first see what is the other aspect of using the while loop other than using the iteration like passing a condition and then checking if it is true and then using one more variable to increase or decrease. So that was the one that we saw in the previous videos. In this, we'll see how we can use the while loop in the other ways. So you can use while loop and you can pass true. So the moment you pass true, and let's say I want to print hello. So when I try to execute this, I'm going to encounter an infinite loop. Let's run this. So this is not going to stop. So let me manually stop. And why? Because when I pass through and the scope of your while loop itself is to execute as long as the conditions are true. And when I'm passing through, it is going to uh, execute this statement n number of times. So how do you stop doing that is you either put a break keyword. So when you put break keyword and try to run this, you'll be able to stop the statement execution. Like you're basically breaking this loop using your break keyword. So this is one of the way of breaking an infinite loop. And also you might be wondering like, can we pass false here? So when you put false, this is never going to get executed. Why? Because your while loop is going to work only when the conditions are going to be true and when they are going to be met. So passing a while is basically like you're directly telling the compiler that you just have to skip. So it is not going to consider the statements inside this while loop. So ideally people will pass true. So this is one of the other way to use your while loop. And so you can also do one more thing. While this is true, you can try something like, let's use a variable I equals to 5. If I equals to 5, you can also pass an if loop inside this and you can pass your statement. So the number is 5 and you can break here as well. So this is one more variation how you will use your while loop. And also now say that you have a function and for example, let's have a function defined for return true. So I can call the function here directly. So this is one of the way that you can use the function. And so this function could have any logic inside that, and you can make your while loop to wait for that function to be true, and then you perform your logic in programming. So I think I can give another example, like how exactly why people prefer while loop over the for loop. So let's say, that I want my screen to wait for the user to get some input, and then I wanted to perform some execution of statements. So let's say that I need some string called user input. I'm going to assume this is going to be none. None is another keyword which is present in the Python, which will consider that it is null, like it is not having any data in it. So you use this keyword to say that it is empty. So I'm using a variable and that is initially none. So what I'm going to do is while I'm directly putting this is none. So either you can put is keyword and none together, or you put a comparator like just put your input is equals to none as your condition, and then you put and see if you can take an input from this one. So equals to input function. Please enter a value, and then after print format, the value entered is pass the variable here which you collected for your user input variable. So let's run this. 100. Okay, you're formatting, sorry. So now let's pass 100 and the value entered is 100. So these are the things that needs to be considered while you use the while loop. Like you make sure your syntax is taking a condition that is going to be given true to your logic, and then you put the set of statements that you wanted to have under that to be executed. And you can always use break to stop your while loop, and you can also use continue keyword in which will allow you to continue the execution with further more logic, where you can also use one more while loop. So for true, print the number is, let's say 100, and then break. Again, why do I add break here is because I wanted to break this loop, else it's going to end up in the infinite loop. Putting 100. So I'm using a loop outside, and inside that loop I'm using a nested loop. Again, I'm passing a condition as true and I'm printing a statement here. And there is one more thing that you can do. You can play around with while loop in Python, which is that you can have an else loop for this one. Let's say print do nothing. So this is one of the things that gets supported only in Python, which is not there in any other language. So you can have your else loop for your while loop. So let's say that this won't get executed. Say. So because I don't, since I'm using this as a false condition, automatically the else loop is getting executed. So this is also one more thing that can be used while you're trying to practice programs. You can use nested while, and you can use continue, and you can use break keyword like when you want to break the loop, and you can use continue keyword when you wanted to continue it. For example, um, just try to put the continue word and let me know if you're finding any issues while practicing. And that's pretty much it about while loop and the advanced concepts in using the while loop in Python. Thank you.